Greetings, everyone. Happy Friday. It's your girl, Bolanile Patterson. And today we're going to be talking about guess who? Who? Me, moi, the woman behind the mission, right? Born in New York and raised in Chicago, but built through healing. And I'm your host, Bolanile Patterson, founder of Women Healing Globally, and now Women Healing Globally International. Now, before we begin talking about behavioral health or emotional maturity, healing at the root, the nervous system, or the 9 dimensions of health and wellness, I thought it was pretty important to, and only fair, that you get to know a little bit about the woman behind the mission, right? It's one thing to lead with this, but it's another thing to allow the audience in so that they really can connect, because that's my goal, right? I'm just not talking for my health. I'm talking with purpose and intention to share my story, and in hopes that someone and a woman can either connect or align with what it is that I am doing. But because people often hear someone teach, but they don't always know the journey, or the mission behind the journey, right, that brought me here. This isn't about my life story, maybe parts of it. It's simply the beginning. It's the beginning, and maybe somewhere in my story you'll recognize pieces of your own. Born in New York and raised in Chicago, I believe, man, I'm telling you, it's the best of both worlds. Now, I was born in Staten Island, New York, and actually they have renamed the borough, I believe in the 70s. They changed it from, I think it was not Rhode Island. I have to come back to that. But it was, like it was a borough. No, Richmond Borough, right? Yeah. It used to be named Richmond Borough, but now it's just New York, New York. So, again, that kind of gives you a little clarity of how old I really am. But nevertheless, that's okay. That's okay. But nevertheless, I just wanted to go ahead and add that little tidbit of history, right? And again, before we begin talking about the behavioral health and emotional maturity, healing at the root, the nervous system, the 9 dimensions, I want to let you guys in on a little bit of who I am and the story behind why I do what I do, right? And simply being born in New York and raised in Chicago, it is the best of both worlds. And I'll share it with you a little bit why. New York gave me my beginning. And even though I really don't know much about New York, I was just born there, but I was raised in Chicago. Remember that. But my family, my father, my 7 other siblings, they live in New Jersey and the New York and Connecticut area with my father. And they all have their own families and things like that. But I was just lucky enough to be born there and raised in the best city, I think, hands down, Chicago, with such rich culture and history and lessons, the rites of passage, right? I was introduced to culture. Chicago kind of shaped my character, I believe. I was introduced to community and music and the arts, and people who believed enough in me to pour into me, even if it was just through observation. I was able to attend Catholic school for a little bit, private school, St. Calabanis, they've renamed it now, but on the south side of Chicago. I was exposed to theater, music, and creativity. The adults around me, the elders, I call them, tried to teach me how to carry myself as a young lady, at how to present myself. Like I say, a lady at all times. I carry myself. A lady I come, a lady I leave. That has been my motto, and I have been fortunate to live by that as well. I'm not going to be anywhere and around anyone that doesn't welcome my energy or, hey, no longer wants to be around it, right? What's the point? There's millions of people in the world. But anyway, the adults around me, again, they tried to teach me how to carry myself as a young lady, how to respect others, how to walk with dignity. Now, I didn't always listen, absolutely not, because I was a bit hard-headed, As we all have been. Or maybe I'm the only one, I don't know. But I was a little hard headed. I wanted to do things my way and had to knock my head against the wall a few times. I thought I kind of already knew everything, and I don't think no child or no one going through adolescence doesn't think that at some point, like, I got this, I know everything. Yeah, you soon to find out you don't. But I've always, as I've grown wiser, I don't want to say older, as I've grown wiser, I've realized those lessons never really left me. They became part of my foundation. Even with the relationship with my mom. You know, I was raised in foster home, but the contact that we did have, she left me with very memorable experiences. I can remember her taking me to the temple that's on 71st, right? Where Farrakhan, I guess, is now. But I can remember going there as a little girl. I can remember having our next door neighbors who were of of the mosque, who were Islamic. And we had the best time. And come to find out that our neighbor happened to be one of the secretaries for Malcolm X. Who knew? I tell you, talking about rich history. And also my mom, she lived next to Don Cornelius. She knew, she was part of what was that? The Black Panthers. So my mom was very, very, very vocal in the civil rights movement, and she took pictures of that history, that part of history, and so they left me this rich culture and history, and it became a part of me, whether I kind of wanted it to or not. It just like became a natural thing to want to do, and my part is to serve in via the nine dimensions, right? But again, that became part of my foundation, and I realized that those lessons never left me. But life didn't just begin easy. Of course, we all got a story, right? We all have some traumas and things we even went through, and you'd be like, man, how did I even get through this? What in the world? My childhood, but it wasn't just one story. It was many stories happening at the same time. While one part of my life was filled with beauty, another part was marked, like I said, with foster care, instability, questions, and being exposed to mental illness long before I understood what mental illness even was. When you're a child, you don't have words like trauma or, I'm feeling, what is this word we talk about, boundaries? You don't know nothing about no boundaries as a child. We don't know that. And you don't say, I'm struggling today with my identity. No, you don't. You simply know something feels off, something feels different, and you don't quite know how to articulate it. You know something hurts, and children become incredibly aware of surviving and good at surviving and building these little walls because we feel like we have to. We're in survival mode, for heaven's sake. But here's what is the beautiful thing. Even in the middle of hardship, there was still joy. There was still laughter. There were still experiences that I hold dear today. I can remember playing outside until the street lights came on. We could play tag, hide and seek, double dutch, walk into the neighborhood corner store with the note to go pick up the cigarettes for my auntie, and hoping I'd have a little left over for some penny candy. I don't know if y'all, I'm really showing my age now with the penny candy, honey. But yeah, the penny candy. And sitting on the front stoop of the neighbors where we get to play the music and Earth, Wind, and Fire, the OJs, Al Green, and even through hip hop, Al B. Sure, all of the greats. There's so much more because, again, Chicago is where I learned my foundation of every genre of music. So I love just about every genre, from opera to rock to R&B to hip hop to neo soul. country, you name it. I'm there. Jazz, I got it. Right? Um, Electric, right? But again, those times when we were just outside playing and just having ourselves a ball and sitting on that front stoop, spending time with our friends, trying to make it home before, if you saw your parents come around that corner, you got to get home because if the street lights did come on, you go get your butt beat. Or you go get a spanking or a pop or something, or somebody was going to say something. But spending summers with relatives at relatives' homes, or those moments remind me that joy and pain can actually exist in the same story. One of my favorite movies, or one of our favorite movies, my family's favorite movies, is Crooklyn by Spike Lee. Not because every detail reflects my life, but because that feeling of neighborhood, of music, family, community, culture, it often felt like home to me. It resembled what I grew up in as a child myself. My mother, like I was saying, she was a black and white photographer during the civil rights era. She was part of embracing the LBG community way before it became popular. And please don't hold me to that. I'm just saying, or it was accepted, for lack of a better word, right? And look where we're at today. Looking back now, I realize I was surrounded by history before I even knew it. Creativity, excellence, resilience. But alongside that, there was mental illness within my family. And as a little girl, I couldn't separate the illness from the people that I loved. That understanding would come years later. For me, I was always looking for home or looking for love in all the wrong places. And as I became an adult, I think I spent many years trying to create that family I wished I'd had. Through marriage, I wanted marriage. I wanted to have the two-parent household, what I didn't have. I wanted the stability that I thought family is supposed to offer, right? I wanted what I believed was an ideal family. And I did get married more than once, but I also found myself facing addiction within relationships, something I'd already witnessed growing up. Today, I understand something I couldn't understand then. Sometimes unhealed wounds recognize what's familiar before they recognize what is healthy. Healing helped me to stop asking, why does this keep happening? Why does this pattern keep going? Why am I cycling through the same thing over and over and over again? And I started learn to ask, or the Most High revealed to me, what is this trying to teach me? What are the experiences in the collective past, maybe traumas or hurts or joys or, laughter that you had teaching you? The question that challenged everything for me. And because I do this work, I make certain that I get my own mental health. So I go to therapy and I ain't ashamed of it. I would consider myself a hypocrite if I was doing this work in behavioral health and mental health awareness and I didn't go seek help for myself. You understand? You understand? That just to me, I don't just want to talk the talk. I want to live that. I want to live it day to day as best I can. Doesn't mean it doesn't come with, a hit or miss. But for the most part, I know how to get myself back on track, right? For I know what works. And therapy, for me, works. So they asked me a simple question. Who are you, Bolanile? Who are you? Not who are you as a mother, not who are you as a wife or a past wife, not who is you as someone's daughter, who are you as someone's friend or sister, who are you outside of everyone you spent your life taking care of? Who are you? I know I'm sounding like an owl, but I'm just saying. I couldn't answer that right away. Not right away, I couldn't. because so many of much of my identity had become wrapped up in roles that I played for everyone else. I was a people pleaser. I wanted to make sure people liked me. I wanted people to accept me for who I was. I wanted people to, just love me. But until I learned to start loving myself, is when, and not that people didn't love me or like me, but actually my identity is not contingent upon whether they do or not. That's what I learned. So the most important thing is that I learn to love myself, or am continuing to still learn to love myself. And that could be at any age. I call myself a bit of the late bloomer, but I'm still right on time because this is my journey, just like your journey you have. People often would ask me why I care so deeply about behavioral health, why trauma and why emotional maturity, why healing. The simple answer is because this work isn't, oh gosh, this work isn't theoretical for me, lack of a better word. It isn't theoretical for me. It really is personal. I've had to sit in therapy just like everybody else. I've had to grieve just like everybody else. I've had to forgive just like everybody else. And I've had to start over countless times up to recent, to keep it real. I've had to start over and over and again. But God willing, I'm grateful that I'm able to start over. I've had to acknowledge the pain without allowing the pain to become my identity. Now, I don't excuse abuse and I don't excuse emotional harm because accountability does matter. But compassion matters as well. Because people, we're just very complex creatures, I believe, both men and women, or every gender, every culture. Every one of us comes from a different story, different cultures, different homes, different wounds, different victories, different experiences. So who am I to tell someone where they should be in their healing journey, in their own individual healing journey? I would not put myself in such a position to do so. I can only walk beside them if they allow me to. That's why Women Healing Globally International now exists, baby. Not to tell women what's wrong with them, but to remind them and remind myself what's still possible. Becoming the woman you were always created to be. So today I'd like to scroll sometimes, through the social media feeds. And I heard a woman, she does something on neuroscience, right? The brain. And she used this phrase, become an unpunishable woman. Let's just sit with that for a minute. Become an unpunishable woman. Now, I don't know exactly what that phrase means or meant for her, but she explained it in such a way that it awakened something in me. It sparked like, man, wow, that's kind of deep. To me, it means I refuse to keep punishing myself for what I've already survived. I'm not going to punish myself with bitterness anymore. I'm not going to punish myself with unforgiveness. I won't punish myself for setting healthy boundaries because I need them in place for me to protect me. I won't punish myself for wanting peace. I will not punish myself for choosing healing. I won't over toxicity. And I will not punish myself for choosing healing or making mistakes. Because mistakes are a part, or errors. Let's call it that, a softer word, to make an error in judgment, right? They're part of the human experience. Healing gives us permission to grow, permission to learn, permission to expand, permission to fall down, permission to get back up. Dust yourself off, baby girl, and try yet again. God willing, because healing isn't perfection. Healing is progress and continual evolution. The invitation I leave you with today, people often say, behind every great man is a great woman. I like to offer a different perspective, something different. I don't believe we're called to stand behind anyone. I believe we're called to stand alongside one another. And today, I want you to stand along someone very important. I wonder who you think it might be. Well, it is the little girl within you. The little girl that I had abandoned so many years ago, I now am able to say, I'm coming, you coming with me. Remember that scene in Scarface? And he goes in to her bedroom, or I can't remember her name right now, but anyway, he goes in, he's like, you coming with me. Get your things. You coming with me. That's just how I feel. Like, come on, hand by hand. I want you to stand alongside someone very important than the little girl within you. The young woman who may have felt, the little girl who had felt unseen, the version of yourself you may have abandoned trying to survive. And I want you to take her hand and I want you to tell her, we're going to be okay, baby girl. Let's walk forward together with courage, with resilience, with compassion, and with hope. My closing today is because healing isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the woman you were always created to be. So let me ask you, and this is my mantra, you guys know, Women Healing Globally, who you coming to be? I say, who are you coming to be? I'm coming to be me. I say, who you coming to be? I'm coming to be me. The healed me, the whole me, the loving me, the forgiving me, the courageous me, the peaceful me, the authentic me, the resilient me, the woman I was always created to be. And that is also you as well, my ladies, my women healing globally. Yes, that's you too. No matter your culture, no matter your background, no matter your experiences, no matter where your story begins, healing belongs to you as well. Because when one woman heals, boy, we change nations, baby. She doesn't just heal alone. She changes the paradigm of her children, her offsprings, her family dynamics, her community. She changes her generations to come before and after. She changes the world. So today, give yourself permission to grow, permission to learn, permission to make mistakes or errors, permission to begin again, permission to ask for help when needed, permission to set healthy boundaries, and permission to forgive and heal, and permission just to become just where you're at. You're not in competition with nobody. You ain't on nobody else's time clock. The Most High has you just where you are supposed to be. And that's it, and that's all. Trauma may explain part of your story, but it doesn't get to write the ending. You do. I'm Bolanile Patterson, founder of Women Healing Globally International. I want to thank you again for spending time with me, your girl. Welcome to our community. One mission, many cultures, limitless healing. And until next time, keep healing at the root, keep becoming, and keep showing up as the best version of yourself. Not only for you, but the woman who came before you, the children who are watching you, and the generations who will follow you. Because your healing is never just about you. It's never just about us. It's about the legacy our healing leaves behind. I'll see you next time on Elephant in the Room. May you continue to be well and prosper. Ahala. And I wanted to add this piece. Oh my gosh, I would be remiss without sharing my beautiful 3 offsprings that I birthed into this world, that God gave me an opportunity to birth. And because today's focus was really about the little girl and the little girl about me and where I was born and raised and stuff like that, I just wanted to say that they have walked through me and been my greatest lesson in who I have become today.